wanted to cut back on how much I rely on online shopping. So we're headed somewhere right now, and I'm crossing my fingers, hoping they have what I need. So we'll see. Here is the entrance to the holistic medicinal shop. They have a wide variety of like different crystals, and they're reasonably priced as well. Now, what I really came to the store for was the bulk herbs, and they did not disappoint. Okay, now the main three that I actually wanted was the mullein, the elderberry, and the burdock, right? That's really why I came. Okay, but when I saw how the wide variety of herbs that they have, and it's not just like the different herbs, it's the fact that they have even like the same herbs in different form, right? Like powder, the leaf, or like just grind it up, if it's an actual like kind of herb that is more root-like. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 more. I was about to add some lemongrass and also some lavender, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna keep it cute. We're gonna go with this mixture, and then, you know, from there, switch it up as needed, okay? But yes, they have so many different herbs. And I thought it was funny where I saw that one herb where it said butcher's broom. It made me think about a TikTok that I saw earlier today where they talked about how certain herbs actually had like code names. Yeah, but anyways, so here is ashwagandha. I got ashwagandha honestly because I've seen it talked about a lot on TikTok, which is the new Google, by the way. But anyway, so ashwagandha is good for reducing stress because it it reduces the stress hormone cortisol. And it's also good for reducing inflammation. For the mullein leaf, I got that as it relates to ridding the body of mucus, especially as it relates to like the lungs. And then I got some sarsaparilla. I had to Google how that's pronounced. But anyways, got that for antioxidants and because of its antimicrobial properties. And then, of course, I got some elderberry. Now, elderberry is good for boosting your immune system. My bad, y'all. What's funny about it is I actually have like a piece of the mullein leaf in my throat right now, just a little bit. I'm actually drinking the tea right now. But next, I got ginger root. Now, I wasn't really tripping about getting ginger root because I like to take my ginger in the form of like shots. Like, you know, those small shots that you can buy where it's mixed with like turmeric or like cayenne pepper. But I love ginger root because of its helping with digestion, your immune system, bloating, and burdock is good for removing toxins from the blood. I've never seen this, okay? And I'm very intrigued by it. Like, I really want to look this up because I've never seen this before. And I definitely am going to look it up tonight. I thought this was really interesting. Like, I'm probably behind. Y'all probably like, girl, this is not new, but honey, it's new to me. So I'm definitely going to look this up and see what that's about. But in the back, they also, well, actually, this was technically the front. They also have like different informational like pamphlets for mudras, information on like yoga, and also like different equipment for sound healing, like these bowls, drums, which I thought was cool as well. Okay, so right now we are at Minchie's for a nice little dessert break, if you will. Of course, we got the sorbet. So it's definitely been a minute since the last time I have filmed a video and even worked out, to be quite honest with y'all. For the working out, I had changed up my diet. Check out my last podcast episode. I'll put it in the description below. But doing that, like in tandem with like the fact that I'm not mobile and working out like a lot during the week, it was taxing, right, on the body and on the mind, right? Now if I was mobile, it would be different, but when you are like walking majority of the time wherever you are transporting to or whatever, and you're working out and you have a diet change, it's a lot to process. But anyway, just listen to my last podcast episode. But so I did cut back on working out. However, we're gonna pick it back up, okay? But also, I needed time to process what was going on with me, what was going on with me mentally, and figuring out, I wouldn't say figuring out something about myself, but more so zoning in on stuff about myself, right? So I already talked to y'all about like the self-diagnosis of autism and stuff like that. But I looked into like another, I would say, zoned in part of autism, so to speak, because you know it's a spectrum, right? And they have one where it's like highly sensitive person. And that really helped me. It really did, y'all. It really helped me. It really helped me to put a lot of things into perspective. And I'm exaggerating, being dramatic, okay? Not a lot of things, but it really helped to provide perspective to my experience, right? To help in being able to identify certain things. And so that way I'm able to better have a grasp on like maintaining equilibrium. But also, like, aside from that, doing more spiritual studies, reading up on different things. So we just missed the bus. So we're gonna go to this book place instead, and see what they have in store. Although I already rented us some books from the library, I still want to see like what the setup is in the store, because it also says comics too. And recently I watched a TikToker on TikTok, because they had a new comic that came out, Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. Ash is from Evil Dead. So I want to see like what kind of comics they have in here actually. So I wanted to talk to y'all a little bit more about the HSP profile, because like I told y'all earlier in this video, earlier this week, I was like we'll say burnout, definitely a lot of burnout. And on top of the fact that it was that time of the month for me, I was feeling a lot, okay? So I thought to look up highly sensitive, and then I put autistic, and it really opened my eyes to a lot of what I was experiencing. And then what's crazy about it is, like, I didn't know that's what it was, but during this time I actually have already been doing things to actually help with my equilibrium, right? So I want to talk to y'all though about the HSP profile. So in case, you know, maybe you have feelings or thoughts about what you could be experiencing and you're unable to label it, so I took some notes. Okay, so basically the highly sensitive people or person profile for autism, these people are at high risk for burnout, right? And it's because of the amount of, like, I'll say, deep thought and deep theory about people and the world people who are of the HSP profile and autism have a deep interest in psychology, and also different things of the world. You know, y'all already know I like conspiracy theories. I like getting down to the nitty-gritty of things, and what's going on behind, outside of just what I'm seeing in front of me, right? So also, the HSP profile, they have a high sensitivity to sensory input. So things like textures, light, what else on here? Like clutter, different stuff like that. Also, they have a high perspective, basically. And what that will mean is like being able to pick up and sense or feel things that other people may not be able to pick up on, because with the HSP profile, people with that profile of autism are perceiving everything all the time at once. Even for me personally, even if I feel like I'm not even paying attention to something, I'm paying attention to it, because probably like 5 months later, I'm gonna recall it in a moment when I need it, right? So people with HSP profile are always perceiving everything that's happening around them. So you know, if you are a person who is aware of energy, you know what that entails for you, for your body energetically, and how much energy that takes to be able to do that on a consistent basis. That's why people with this profile are at high risk for burnout, because they're always like thinking, they're always perceiving, and always aware of things that other people are not really picking up on. And that leads me into the other one, about being a high empathy. People with a high HSP profile also have higher empathy than other people, which is interesting, because people already assume that people who are on the spectrum lack the ability to socialize with other people, and when truly that really isn't the case, right? More often than not, people who are on the spectrum actually tend to have deeper bonds and more genuine bonds with people, because especially if you are the HSP profile, you have higher empathy, right? So you are much more in tune with energy and emotion, right? You're more in tune with it than maybe a neurotypical person would. So more often than not, you're probably perceiving their energy, emotion, their emotions more often than they're perceiving their own emotions. You understand what I'm saying? So again, that burnout part, right? So also it said that needing adjustments for sensitivities, right? So for me, like, okay, so I'll keep it general. So stuff like wearing clothes a certain way, buying a certain product, having to go to this certain store, I'm definitely that way. Of course, in this time, because I'm not mobile, I've had to learn how to kind of adjust. But when I was mobile, when I would grocery shop, I literally had to go to 3 different grocery stores to get certain products that I wanted, right? But as far as like clothes, I will say for me personally, with the HSP profile, which I identify with, is I don't really like feeling bogged down with having to figure out what to wear, right? So I realized for me that literally if I have the same shirt in 5 different colors, or different styles of like the same shirt in different colors, I would be completely okay. So that way I don't have to worry about, okay, am I going to wear this? I'm going to wear it. It's like, oh shit. It's like already figured out, or wanting to wear certain things, or like even to the point of like, if I like the way something fits on me, like I don't care. Like actually last year I had gained a little bit of weight when I had first left, when I had first resigned from my last job. And there is a pair of jeans that I actually wore today, and I was like, yeah, but we gotta lose weight, because I'm not losing them jeans. Ain't that ridiculous? That's ridiculous. Anyways, but next would be a strong desire to be ethical. That is the HSP profile. When I tell you, like, y'all know what ethical is, right? When I tell you I'm all about fairness, I'm all about justice, I'm all about things being the same and everybody being treated the same, and no one should have a shorter stick than the other person, right? So that's also something as well. And it speaks a lot to even a lot of my experiences, like even in work, and the fact that I do have strong ethics, and speaking to what I may be experiencing that may not be the same for other people. You get what I'm saying? Like the last place where I worked, having to experience the microaggression. So strong ethics, right? And then next would be passionate and interest in psychology, right? So passionate would be like the way in expressing oneself, right? And I know that when one of my triggers are enacted, I do become very passionate. So that's another thing. What else? Now, they did say something about difficulties working under pressure. I don't readily identify with that. I feel like I can work under pressure. It's just that burnout part, right? So next is susceptible to headaches and gastrointestinal issues from stress, from intense processing and sensory issues. Very true. I remember I told y'all in one of my last YouTube videos where I was eating a certain way, right? Because although I carry it well, I definitely in the past year have been dealing with stress and finding ways to cope with it much better than I was previously, which is also that part of finding equilibrium and making sure that I am, one with mind, body, soul, spirit, or whatever, while also dealing with my autism, my HSP or whatever. And next would be difficulties with masking unconsciously, right? So that's another thing too, like me recognizing when I'm masking and when I'm truly being myself. And that's a lot. With the HSP profile, people with the HSP profile and autism tend to mask unconsciously and they're not even aware of it, right? Because of like the high, I would say, expectation that we are aware of when it comes to being in social settings. And I'm gonna leave it at that because I want to talk more about this in other videos. But anyway, so next would be like the difference in stimming. So a lot of people think that stimming is like something that you're doing like repetitively or something like that. But really it's a way that you gain like, I would say, the way that you can relax oneself or calm oneself through a stimulating like process or something that you do. So like twirling your hair, or what was the other one? I wrote it down. Twirling your hair or singing. Like I do that too. I sing, or I'll bust out of nowhere with a song, right? Or like if I say something, like if I'm saying a sentence and like maybe 4 words in that sentence matches a lyric out of a song, I'll sing that song out of nowhere, right? That's a stem, right? Or like even now that I think about it, when I was a kid, I used to do this a lot. I used to do this a whole lot. And it wasn't just because I would count the number associated with the alphabet. I used to do that as a kid. So like if there was a word, if the word, I don't know, was like pear, I would go A, B, C, D, E. If like I would count each number that correlated with the letter, right? And now that I'm older and I'm aware that there actually is numbers associated with the alphabet, and again, that conspiracy theory, going back to the occult, all those different things, had no idea. But anyway, so yes. And another part of the stemming would be like getting input from deep thinking. That's another thing that I do. Like I need to take a minute, right? I need to take a minute and let me think about what is being said, or why it's being said, and then that getting input from deep thinking, that turns into like me asking a billion clarifying questions. And y'all know that neurotypical people get very offended by that when you ask them a billion questions to clarify why they're saying something, and you're trying to figure out, listen, I'm that one. I want to know why you're saying something, and I'm also going to take into account when you're telling me, and I'm also going to take in account what you're telling me, okay? So again, getting input from thinking, okay? And then next would be a tendency to shut down, to reflect. This is me. Like if I feel like it's too much, I'm gonna shut down so I can figure out and decipher and put 2 and 2 together, okay? Because I'm trying to get 5. I don't want 4. When I put 2 and 2 together, I want to get 5. So I'm gonna have to shut down if it's too much going on and try to figure out, okay? That's something else I do. And then next it say meltdowns are like emotional breakdowns and emotional over processing. Very true. So previously back then, like my meltdown would have been me like really taking it there. Okay, if you know me, baby, you know, like really taking it there. Okay, but now my meltdowns are more like, again, that emotional processing of trying to like break it down. And I find myself asking like, why would you even do that? Well, what was the point even behind it? Or why would you? But now it's just like, again, now realizing and recognizing and knowing the HSP profile, now I'm like, I don't think that way anyway. So, oh well, moving on, right? So last one would be the HSP profile overlaps with 80% of autistic females. So people who are already diagnosed with autism. So a while back on my TikTok account, I talked to y'all about autism and how there isn't really any research for it for adults, let alone Black adults, with the CDC. And the fact that this HSP profile overlaps with 80% of autistic females says a lot, okay? And in this time, like even realizing that, you know, at this point I am the HSP diagnosis, one thing that was also very important for me is in knowing that about myself and having that type of sensitivity, and I don't consider it a deficit, I consider it a gift. It's also been very important for me as it relates to like my intuition. And that's why I say like equilibrium has been so important for me in balancing mind, body, and soul, mind, body, and spirit. So yeah, that was why I had to take that little break, because it was a lot. I had a sensory overload, honey. Also like making sure that my anger is expensive. Okay, now that doesn't mean that I'm not going to say how I feel, but as far as like taking me there, oh, that's expensive, right? And at a certain point, it's like realizing that sometimes people may say or do certain things because your attention is expensive and they want it, baby. That's how you gotta change your perspective a little bit. So yes, that's what I figured out about myself. And in this time, even the things that I have done up until this point, and realizing how those changes that I've made for myself actually coincided with the betterment of my mental health as it relates to the HSP profile of autism. I can't wait to share a lot of that stuff with y'all. I really can't wait for it. But you know, I be such a perfectionist. I want to do it this. I know I gotta chill. But hey, check the name of the channel. Come on now. But yeah, I think that's gonna be the end of this video. Y'all can see I'm super excited because there's nothing like not only peace of mind, but baby, clarity of mind. There is nothing like it, I promise you. And that can't be bought, okay? I went back and even looked at my journal that I had did. Not even my journal. I have a ebook that I wrote. And I'll link it down below. And also I was also looking at my journal that I wrote when I stayed in like Nashville a long time ago, and I was doing like these prompts, these shadow work prompts, and they were asking questions like, you know, what are your desires, what is this, what is that, and none of it had to do with anything materialistic, baby. It had everything to do with like skills, personal growth, different stuff like that, peace of mind. And when I tell y'all that those things cannot be bought, I promise you they can't. There are people who probably have more than you who are lacking peace of mind and clarity. Those things cannot be bought. So once you get that, and I'm talking to myself, once you get that, baby, everything else is gonna gravitate and flow to you. Because that's what it's about. That's what it's about, okay? So yes. Oh, but also, just to let y'all know, I also have made sure to, this week, I've been very intentional about meditating. I've been very intentional with what I do with like the first 20 minutes when I wake up. and I was that way previously, but y'all know a couple of things happened in between there, so I kind of got off of my regimen. I'll say, I'm not gonna call it a routine, I'm gonna call it like things that I like to do, because to be honest with you, I've never been a routine bitch. I'm sorry, no disrespect, I never have been a routine person. I'm sorry, I can't do a certain thing at the same time every day in the same order. It's just not gonna work. It's not. I can't do it. I'm not wired that way. It's never gonna work that way. It never will. It never will. It won't. I'm sorry. So that's also something I've been very intentional about, is what I'm doing within the first 20 minutes when I wake up. Like, that's very, very intentional for me. And I make sure that the first 20 minutes is dedicated to me. Like, to me. Whether I'm feeding myself with new information, or y'all know, I told y'all about Lumosity on my TikTok. I still play that game. Yes, I pay for it every month. I recommend y'all should too, because it does help. Like, it helps with your memory, your attention, your flexibility. They got math. They have words in there. Also, like writing, different things with writing and understanding language. And it's a really good app. So that's another thing that I like to do. Now, I don't do that every day within the first 20 minutes. But one thing I'm making sure I'm intentional about for real, aside from the first 20 minutes, is meditating every day. Okay? Some form of meditation. Okay? I'm not to the point where I feel like I gotta do it for 5 hours every day in one sitting. We're not to that point yet. Okay? Baby steps. Baby steps. We're not there yet. Okay? But we're on our way. So yeah. That's that on that. Child, monitoring the spirits with them flies, child. But anyway, so yeah, that's that on that. But thank y'all for watching. Please check out the podcast. There will be another episode coming. It will be in the description below. But definitely like, follow, and comment below if anything that I said about the HSP profile, if any of that resonates with you. Wait a minute though, I forgot to tell y'all. Oh, this is gonna be a nice long video. I love it because I be trying to get a lot in my videos. But I finally watched Lovecraft Country, y'all. I finally watched it. I finished it earlier this week. Baby, when I tell you that it wasn't even about it being a revelation, baby. It was a confirmation. Okay, it wasn't about it being a revelation. It was a confirmation. So much information. That's really why when I looked up the HSP profile for autism, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, I cried because I'm like, wait a minute, baby. Like, wait a minute. Like, it was a lot, and not a lot in a bad way, like a lot in like, wow, okay. So, and I don't view it as a deficit, I view it as a gift, like to have such high empathy, right? And to be perceiving of all things around you at all time, and making sure and finding ways and how to remain balanced within that. It was a lot. So watching Lovecraft Country, and like in the mix of me like going through all of that, it definitely like reaffirmed my power. It definitely reaffirmed my power and that inner knowing of self, and reaffirming self, right? Because the validation should never be external, baby. It need to be internal at all times, okay? Because things outside of me could go away at any moment. So I need to make sure that the internal validation is always up to par. So me being able to do that, you know, in my own time and figuring that out, it was beautiful. I had to cry. It was beautiful. Y'all know I'm a crybaby, okay? Like, okay, I'll put that on my TikTok. I'm a cry on a movie or a TV show. I'm a cry. If I find some new information that reaffirms me, baby, I'm a cry, okay? It be the heart. Yeah, the heart is gonna do it every time. So, yeah. But yeah, if any of the stuff I said about the autism, the HSP profile resonated, please comment below if anything like sounds like something that you experience. Because really, for me, baby, it's the whole list. Except for the working under pressure part. Like, child, we'll say 20 years, because I'm in my early 30s. we're not going to count the first 10 years of life. But honey, I have 20 years of experience of working under somebody's pressure, so I can do it to a degree. All right. But yeah, comment below. But I'm gonna leave all my other channels, like my TikTok and all of that, in the description below. And I feel like I want to talk about Lovecraft Country again, because baby, I could talk about that all day. I'm gonna talk about that probably another time, or I might talk about it in this next podcast episode. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. But yeah, until next time, y'all, thank you for watching.